Hi, welcome to JD Sports. I'm Jared Lloyd. That's the way you can follow our personal Twitters at the show's Twitter page, which is @_JD Sports. YouTube, SoundCloud. Look up JD Sports, JD Sports Show. We have a lot to talk about this week, Dwight. We have the NCAA tournament. We have a little more basketball because we have some NBA to get into. Maybe some golf with Tiger.
Tiger Woods, y'all.
Excuse me. NFL.
Yeah, a lot of NFL.
Glad to hear you're on a lot of NFL.
The free agency's been ridiculous, so I can't disagree.
Do I have to go to you about Mania? Anything big coming up with Mania? Well, I'll ask you a little later in the show. MLB starts this week.
True.
Happy birthday to Randall Cunningham. He's my favorite Eagle of all time. Speaking of the Eagles, I'm wearing my Eagles championship. Super Bowl champions, because they won the Super Bowl this year.
Two negatives make a what?
Two positives, making even better positive. So Dwight,
Regardless.
for those who are keeping tally at home,
We weren't here last week because we got a lot of snow. We live in the Northeast. That's what he was going to say.
so what'd you do while it snowed?
What does Dwight do when it's not snowing?
I hear you.
I was chilling. He got called off work, as you know.
Yep.
He got called off work as well.
Yes, we did.
And, just kicked it,
Good day.
drank, What did you say Patty's weekend? I went out dancing, drank. It was a good time. I had a good time. Very good time. Shout out to Mason. Shout out to Kai.
Every
It
year.
was a good time.
Every year, St. Patrick's Day, I go to Pottsville, Pennsylvania, and I go party with my cousin.
Shout out to my invite.
Him and I have been doing this for 4 or 5 years. So this started as a just him, myself, and his wife thing. And then last year, he invited a couple of his friends. Because what we would always do is we would go from his house in the morning. We would always drink a beer or two at like 9 a.m. where everyone else was partying out of their houses at 9 a.m. We would all go to a different house by 11. And we would all be at this one house partying all day until like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Then we would go to a bar. A couple bars, actually. And then we would end up back at my cousin's house. And then last year we ended up inviting like 3 or 4 more people because, well,
It's just going to keep going. Right?
and then this year his sister flew in from Colorado,
Oh, wow.
which is my other cousin, who I'm very close with because during football season when we took that week break, when I went to the beach, she also went to the beach with my family, with my parents and I. So her and I became very close. So I'm very close with both of them. So it was awesome. So a bunch of people came up for it. And we mainly partied at my cousin's house. He has a new house, a little bigger house. And then we went out to the bars, but literally it was probably for like 2 hours. I mean, we ended up back at his house and just partied more there. It was fun. It was a great time. A lot of people showed up. And if maybe next year, Dwight, will you work Saturdays? I didn't realize that I didn't know. All right, we'll talk about this. We'll handle this. We will handle this.
Dwight works Saturdays, yeah. Dwight still went out and he did not. Well, Dwight works Sundays, you mean? Dwight works Sundays.
Sundays, I work Saturdays, right.
Right. And Dwight did not work Sunday because Dwight went decided he was going out on that
So,
Saturday.
all right, we'll talk about this.
So
for
next year. We got next year.
So, Dwight,
Yes, sir.
speaking of St. Patty's Day, I went up to my cousin's. That was St. Patrick's Day fell on a Saturday.
Perfect.
Every year, I go up there on Saturday, even if it's not falling on a Saturday. I just go up there on the Saturday of St. Patrick's Day, and that's when we do this big celebration. But luckily this year fell on a Saturday, so it was cool. But cool thing is, every year the tournament is going on, either the first or second weekend. This year we got it to be the first weekend, which is pretty cool because there's games the whole way until about like 9:40 at night on Friday, which is cool because I go up to his house on Friday and then we don't drink or anything, but we hang out, eat some pizza, whatever, catch up, and well, history happened while I was at his house on Friday before St. Patrick's Day. The 16 seed beat a 1. And right before the game started, him and I had a good conversation about it, and I said, and I'm openly admitting this, that I was like, I don't know, it might happen, but I just don't know if it ever will. The likelihood of it ever happening is very low, is what I said.
It's still that way.
And he was like, he kept saying the parity and, everything lately in sports would make you think that obviously a 16 has to beat a 1 eventually. Also, you have to take the Greeny approach. Eventually, it will have. I mean, the Greeny was always saying. I said the same. Greeny used to always just say, eventually the odds will get so much where they might play 700 of these things, but like eventually it will have to happen. Like just like the odds will never get to infinity to it never happening. Like it's just not. Right. It's not possible.
It's going to happen. That just doesn't mean it. That doesn't
it's
mean it's
literally not
soon.
possible that would happen within like 400 years. You know what I mean? Well, it was 132, I think, and 0 going into this tournament. So going into that game, it was 135 and 0, and this is the highest one seed, which it was the number 1 overall seed in the entire tournament versus the lowest seed, which is the 68th seed overall in the entire tournament, going against each other, and they beat the number 1 seed. So,
and what teams were this?
It was the Baltimore County, I forget something, and then versus Virginia. And Virginia was ranked number 1 overall in the nation.
They were. They lost to
Virginia lost.
Baltimore County Prison.
Virginia lost twice since December, I think, like 18th, and that was the second game.
Was it close or did it get blown out?
They got blown out. I mean, it was a 15-point win.
See,
so
bad.
It was about. So are you ready for this? And this is the best part. The whole
I'll
time.
take a close game, but come on, man.
It was like a 5-point game early.
You know what? You deserve that though. You just suck.
It's like a 5. So Virginia's down like 5 early, and the conversation starts up a little stronger between my cousin and I. Like they're not gonna hold this, but like
right.
They're up 10 with about 3 minutes to go in the first. My cousin,
still no.
My cousin, right? My cousin and I, like but we're still. Conversation grows a little. It gets a little heated, a little more heavy. All right, this is possible. About 7 minutes to go in the second half. I think it was like a 9-point game. They hit a big 3 to make it a 9-point game, and their players were It was about 7 minutes to go. Their players were celebrating like they just won the national. I mean, and they're getting the crowd into it. And so my cousin and I are literally like, if they win or lose this game, we literally were like, right there is like that's the moment they're looking for. Like they felt that energy that they wanted.
Yeah, but no.
From that moment,
a little extra.
No, we agreed.
They wrote it, but
we completely agreed that it was like, wow, like you just act like, come on, like they're like, come on, like you're like one. It was in the state of Virginia, so, or it was in North Carolina, which isn't far from Virginia. I forget. Either way, it wasn't far. It was a home game for Virginia, in the sense of, and not that Baltimore County is super far from Virginia, but either way, point being is, and also they have a much bigger fan base, obviously. So this is more of a home game, but everybody there, obviously, if you want to see the upset, if you were there for the first game, so you're just like, sure, we'll go for the other team. So they were trying to get the crowd into it type thing, and it was funny when they did that because my cousin and I did the same thing, like a little extra, but we were like, they got their moment, like this is their time to shine. They came out from that moment. They came out from that moment, and they just boom, 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 made it like, I mean, it was a 15-point game. And yeah, they made it a 15-point game, and so they beat them by double digits.
I was gonna say, was Virginia making shots, but if you're telling me it's double
No.
digits, then it's no.
No.
So what was it? Was it more so a defensive thing, or was
Well,
it
Virginia
they weren't
didn't.
making
Okay,
shots?
so here was
like they just weren't making shots.
And I'm not going to throw this guy under the bus, but there's this guy at work that I was having a conversation with, and he likes Virginia basketball, and it was the day of that game. Him and I were talking about this. It was the morning of that game, and he said to me about how he thought Virginia was going to go far. Obviously, they were the number 1 seed in the tournament. So he's having this long conversation with me about it, and here's what I said to him was that obviously I thought Virginia was going to win that game, but I didn't think Virginia was going to go far because in the championship game of the in the game that they lost in the ACC tournament, their best player off the bench broke his hand. He's off the bench, but he was their best scorer. Like he was the only player on their team that could create his own shot. Okay, so he broke his hand. He broke his wrist, and I was like, so I don't think they're going to go super far because of that. And ends up. I mean, they couldn't. They had one guy.
They know who to go to.
They had one guy who started making shots from their starting roster, and he, to his credit, he averaged 21 a game, so he was a better shooter than I thought. But other than him, there was nobody on the floor, and so
it was 2 guys rolling with it,
and the one guy was hurt,
yeah.
and one guy is hurt, and so they were a really good defensive team. They've been a top 5 defensive team for the last 6 years in college basketball. They have I think 3 seniors on their team, so they are a really good defensive team. But the thing is I think they only scored 47 points. So I mean,
So it was literally like one guy, a bunch of role players versus an entire team that came in that showed up.
Yeah, and I mean it was a 16 seed, so there was literally no like.
Of course, they had hype and momentum on their side.
But these guys are not
rolling. You get a low lead, and
but the best way to put this I don't even know how to explain this because you don't watch college sports. You watch professional sports.
No,
there is nothing that.
So
but there, I understand that, but there's nothing I can explain to you that of an underdog, a seismic underdog of how big this is. This is literally like Notre Dame losing to Shippensburg. I mean, and that's the best way to put it for you to understand.
Right.
It might not be that far, but it's pretty close to that.
It's pretty embarrassing. That's extreme.
It's only a level away from that. Shippensburg is, I think, D3, and so there's D3, D2, and then Division 1. And Division 1's broken into Division 1 and Division 1 AA, but there's 100 teams in Division 1, I think there's like 70 teams in D2, and then D3 has like 40 teams. So Shippensburg, so it's like a D2 team. It's like Notre Dame losing to a D2 team, which is a team that they will never ever play, even in a postseason format, which is the only way these teams will ever meet up. What D2 teams are only eligible for the NCAA tournament. It's the only way they, like, it's not in lacrosse, not in hockey, it's just the NCAA basketball tournament. I don't really understand. I don't know how. I don't know why, but this is, I don't know how to explain it. This is it's the biggest upset, I would say, in college basketball history.
Well, I mean, when was the last time that happened?
It's never happened.
It's never. Well, then by default,
a 16 has never beaten a 1.
Well then, by default, it just has.
Mercer's beaten Duke. There was a Division II team that beat North Carolina on a buzzer beater this year, but they were still not. It was early in the season.
I'll give you a buzzer beater. Buzzer beaters I don't consider upsets. Like, technically, to me, upset.
They didn't get beat by 15 though, like you're about to say.
Yeah, to me, upset is a beatdown. Is a convincing victory. Upset.
Even so, that team that beat Duke, that team that beat North Carolina was still literally one level above this team that beat this Virginia by 15. And Virginia also, by the way, beat Duke twice, beat North Carolina once, beat Notre Dame twice.
So how many seniors did you say was on Virginia?
I'm pretty sure 3.
3.
3 starters. I'm pretty sure they had 2 more on the bench.
Okay, and do you know how many juniors offhand? Like, I'm trying to figure out, is this a young team, like a younger?
No, I mean they're an older team. They're with the North Carolina Villanovas of the world. They're Kansases. They don't get the one and dones. They don't do the one and dones. They get guys and they develop them for 2 to 3 years, 4 years.
See, that's wild and kind of disgusting to me then, because then it becomes and we talk about this.
Well, they should have known better for sure.
Well, yeah. Especially with basketball, we've talked about this before. It comes down to a pride thing. Like, at some point, do you just snap out of it? At some point, who's the leader? Whether it's a player or the coach. At some point, does pride kick in? You say, you know what? We're I'll just call it that. Where's the Kobe? Where's the Jordan killer mentality? Where's the we are not losing this. We're going to go out here. We're going to get this.
Who's going to take over?
You said one guy
who's
going to
take over who's going to take over and dominate? And he balled out.
One guy balled out,
but then
which
he
is
missed,
cool.
He forced 2 bad shots with about 9 minutes to go. That it didn't take him out of it. Look, with 9 minutes to go, you shouldn't be saying it takes you out of the game. But
I won't blame that on him.
But it started to separate it a little further because he took a bad shot, made shot, took a bad shot, made shot, took a bad shot, made shot. Also, to your point, he was the only one doing anything till then.
Right, and if you're the only one, and you're facing the team, of course you're going to take the team every time.
Yeah.
Like, and these are kids. We can't talk about the Kobe, the Jordan killer
You were saying
mindset,
about the somebody take over thing. My cousin and I were talking, when it was only a 5-point game with, 10 minutes in, when it was a 10-point game, 17 minutes in, when it was a 7-point game, with 7 minutes to go or whatever it was, the whole time we kept saying, there's got to be a player on their team that's going to come in here, take the ball, get to the rim, get the defense, make a steal, make a stop, make a rebound, make a block, and it just never, the big shot never came, the block never came, the steal never came.
So you said it was the point guard that ended up getting injured?
It was the 6th man off the bench. I want to say he was a forward. I think he was a small
for Virginia?
Forward. Yeah, he got hurt, but he got hurt in the ACC tournament, broke his wrist.
So
he just didn't play at all in this game.
So who was the guy that carried his team this far?
Him, the guy who got hurt.
The 6th man.
He was the one who was their leading scorer.
If he's a leading scorer,
wasn't a great defensive player, and they're a defensive team. But he still averaged as many minutes as the other forward. He just came off the bench. Also,
I mean, good for him, but
their point guard was a scorer as well.
Okay. Well, I mean, good for him that he was still able to lead as far as with points, especially come off the bench. That's very impressive.
Yeah, it was.
But damn, that just makes it even worse for the team overall, in my opinion. Because then again,
okay.
Who is carrying that team? Some guy come off the bench.
But
that's not a good look. Then that's pretty bad. That's pathetic.
Erase all that. You can't as the number one defense in the top 5 defense in the nation. I don't know if they're the number one, but as a top 5 defense in the nation, right? Mm-hmm. You can't hold this Division 2 or 3 team with 7 guys. You can't. You're missing one guy who can shoot, and you can't hold this team. They should have been honestly, realistically, your talent level and the way you played defense all season, you should have been able to hold this team to 20 points. I mean,
well, that comes down to 2 things then, in which we've already said. That's a pride thing. That's a how good are we type thing. Like. That tells me you're not as good as your record says that you are, or your ranking, I should say. That's not as good as, you're just number 1 seed, allegedly. That tells me that you are the best of the best within your conference or whatever, the division, whatever. You're one of the best teams, bottom line, if you're the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Then show it.
Then
why, when you lose one player who's coming off the bench, I'm going to stick on that. Which,
I'm not going to say that's the only reason they lost, though.
That's not, right, and it's not a knock on him either. But
agreed.
Again, collectively then, who is stepping up? Clearly nobody stepped up. And you got a whole other, I hate to say it, but it's the fact of the matter is, you got a whole other bum squad, basically.
Talent level-wise, not even close to you.
Right. So, who showed up, balled out, and then beat you. It's just not a good look. It's not a good look for that 1 seed. Then they did not deserve to be there.
I've been to your high school's gym. I don't know if you've ever been to my high school's gym. My high school's gym's not much bigger than yours, but it's a little bigger than yours. And CD East is the same size as my high school's gym.
I'll say, you talking about Hannah or you talking about Tech?
Oh, Hannah. I apologize.
Okay.
Have you seen Hannah's high school gym?
No.
Okay. No. Well, have you ever seen CD's?
No.
Okay. Point being is, you've seen high school basketball gyms, right?
It's basketball court.
But you've seen the bleachers on the side and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, the team from Baltimore County, they won their tournament at a gym that was smaller than my high school's gym. That's how they got to the NCAA tournament was winning their tournament. By the way, they weren't even the highest seed in their own tournament. They lost by 35 4 weeks ago to some bum team in their own conference. So this is that's the thing is the talent level was literally just a bunch of dudes off the street playing at your local, not community college, but just a step up from your local community.
The YMCA.
No, but just a step up. It's not far. I mean, it's not much far.
It's a rec league team, and one.
These guys will
never.
These guys. None of those players would even get on the G League team, and that's my bigger thing here. Where all of the Virginia players should at least be able to play on the G League team, you would think.
Well, then the bottom line is it's a shame and it's disgusting and it's sad.
But it was history
for Virginia, but for what'd you say, Virginia, Baltimore
County.
Say this is how much I care or no. Good for them.
Yes,
team.
good for them.
Good for them.
They lost the next game by only 4 or 5.
It doesn't matter. They showed up. They did what they were they weren't supposed to do. Excuse me. But they showed up as a team that wanted to compete, wanted to win.
It was history.
And they will forever be known as that team that did that. Virginia again should be embarrassed. Those players I don't want to come back. I wouldn't even want to go to the NBA at that point. I'd be like, no, I need to redeem myself.
Yeah,
from that. I can't do that.
Shit.
Right. Yeah. Well, not even.
We just gotta win a tournament game.
Yeah. Right. We can't be a number 1 seed and just bomb that, and then me just be like, all right, that's cool. No.
I'm not gonna.
My whole childhood lived up to this moment, and in this moment, whether it was myself or the rest of the team, we didn't show up, and that's absolutely embarrassing, disgusting, and stupid.
Everything we said everything that we have said about this, I feel is very accurate, and I don't want to. What I'm about to say, I don't want to make it sound like it diminishes it, but it's not just them. I mean, this entire side of their bracket, not just Virginia, but there's 2 sides of this bracket. the entire one side got all jumbled up. Now, they're the only 16 seed to beat a 1 ever, and they're the only one to ever lose in the first round. But there wasn't a 1 past the third round on that side. I mean, they lost in the first, and then the other one on that side of the bracket lost in the third round. I'm pretty sure it was a 5 and 11 that was playing each other in the Elite Eight to get to the Final Four. So, like, there's been so many upsets. And in the last probably 10 years, the tournament has been outlandish and been a lot more upsets. And I would credit that a lot to do with one and dones, because you have your teams that are set in there, we're going to get guys that are here for 3 to 4 years, or you have your teams that are set in there, we're only taking one and dones. And then you have your teams who are, we're going to take a little combination of both. But
so what you're saying is you think, well, let me ask you, do you think the gap is getting smaller as far as the 1 to 16? You don't have to necessarily look at that game where it was a 16 beating a 1, but do you think that the gap is getting smaller as far as everybody else? Like, let's say the middle, let's say the 2 through 15, let's say, like, it's just getting a little tighter, like just a little bit. Would you say within the past 5-10 years that it's gotten smaller, the gap's gotten tighter, where you will have these upsets happen more and more frequently? I would agree. I don't necessarily watch it like that, but
because honestly,
in recent history, all I've been hearing is this upset, this upset, and it's like, okay,
the top level,
clearly the gap is getting smaller, and you got players jumping to the pros. That tells me it's going to be a little more frequent.
And that was what I was going to say. The reason that I feel this is happening is because you're talking about the elite of the elite. The Kobe Bryants and the LeBrons used to just go straight to the league, right? But if you're getting a talent like that, you're only getting a talent like that for 1 year.
Yeah.
So you're talking about an 18-year-old versus, now, even though he is more talented than the 21-year-old he is going up against, the 21-year-old that he's going up against still has not maybe the advantage, but has some kind of little bit of an advantage over most players that are.
They got 3 more years experience playing basketball. That's a lot
on that level, on that court. Especially if you're talking 4 or 5 games into a season, that 21-year-old might just be picking this dude's pocket left and right. So
it's not even fair at that point.
And the 19-year-old might, or the 18-year-old might adjust before the end of the season, and he might be balling out. Carmelo Anthony is the best example of that. He balled out. He had the best NCAA tournament maybe of all time. But he didn't have the greatest first, month and a half of the regular season for Syracuse when he played for them that year. Anyways, point being is it's scraping. Everything is getting now scraped right at the bottom. Like you're done after 1 year. So your teams like Villanova, Villanova has a crazy graduation rate, and they just won the national championship last year, and they are in the Final Four again for the 2nd year in a row. Things like that. You have your teams that you're keeping all your players all 4 years, so you're able to match up with those teams that are very talented and young.
So it is getting tighter.
I even think in college football, one of the craziest things, and it was like the biggest shock in the world, was in like 2007. It was Appalachian State, which is a Division II team. They beat Michigan, who was the number 2 team in the nation at the time, and it was in Michigan, and it was the first game of the season. And I'll never forget it because it was played at noon, and Notre Dame was playing at 3:30 that day.
The random games this man brings up.
Okay, point being is it's known as the biggest upset in modern history of college football. All right.
Great.
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize it at that moment, but that was the moment that everything swings. Like, not everything, but like the understanding of those teams that are playing in those lower levels are still getting really athletic players. So you can't just go out there and just play. You got to go out there and beat them. You have to actually go out there and you have to beat them. You can't just...
you have to care because both teams play hard. Like, you got to go out there and want it. Like, you clearly had more talent per se, like talent-wise.
But until that moment, I think everyone just... and until the 16 beat the 1, I think everyone just kind of thinks in their head, the talent-wise, literally they can walk backwards.
And even you can... Anybody can still look at that game and say, well, talent-wise, clearly Virginia was still better.
And Michigan that day was much better than Appalachian State by far.
Right, but if you don't show up, then that's a whole other thing. You can have all the talent in the world, but that doesn't mean anything if you don't show up.
Speaking of Michigan, they're taking on Loyola College.
Okay.
From Chicago.
Great.
They're an 11 seed. They haven't made the tournament.
What round are we in at this point?
The Final Four.
Dwight doesn't pay attention.
The Final Four. We are in the Final Four on Saturdays. Is the Final Four.
So you taking that 11 seed?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna say you don't need to break them down.
I wasn't going to break it down. I was going to just explain because the nation's talking about them. Loyola College is a team from Chicago. They haven't made the NCAA tournament since 1990. They made it to the Elite Eight then. They put up big numbers and then. The thing about Loyola College that really needs to be brought up over Sister Jean, which no offense to Sister Jean because she's a big deal. 1963, Loyola Chicago was the first ever team to integrate African Americans on their starting roster. They started 4 African American players, and they won the national championship that year. And they was like basically frowned upon, and they didn't talk about that championship for a very long time. I think that story needs to get a much bigger platform now that this team has brought this college back to the national spotlight. I mean, I didn't know nothing about Loyola College. I would have never been able to answer that question before this tournament. I promise you that, because they didn't make it other than the year I was born, which literally they would have made it 7 months before I was born then. 9 months before I was born then. So
usually I'm all in for that type of information, but so.
Well,
I'm trying to figure out. Good for the. I mean.
This college, just as fair, and Sister Jean.
Okay. I know what that is.
She needs to get a lot of the recognition.
Good for her, I guess. She didn't pick them though, so.
In one bracket, she did.
She had to.
Her dream bracket.
Whatever. They're gonna lose.
Villanova is playing Kansas on the other side. Kansas had an epic game against Duke to get to that. It was an overtime game. I mean, that side of the bracket has been not chalk, but almost chalk. It's been a lot of 1s and 2s and 3s. And
typical college basketball.
Very fun games, though. And that's one of the best parts of the tournament is, even in the first round, we get a lot of very entertaining games. I mean, we have a lot of very fun games. But that Kansas-Duke game, that's been the best game of the tournament in the Elite Eight there to finish off the Elite Eight. That's been
overtime, didn't it?
Yeah, they went to overtime. That's been the best. That's been the best game by far in the entire tournament. And that's been fun. And there's been a lot of really good ones, a couple buzzer beaters. Man, I picked Nova, so it's hard for me to go against them at this point. So I'm gonna continue to go with them, even though I'm a Temple guy.
He goes to anything Philadelphia area region, so that's redundant and ridiculous. I picked Nova. Of course you did.
I think it's going to be Michigan versus Nova.
You will pick any team.
All right.
No, yeah, all right. You will, because you will. And you're not just going to gloss over that, because you will. Any team that is Philadelphia-based that has a shot, you will forever pick. Don't pick like.
Also.
Don't play like you.
Also.
I'm just going to pick them because they're really good. I think they're so good. No, you pick them because they're Philadelphia-based.
Also, anybody but Michigan.
But Philadelphia.
Well, I don't like Michigan at all.
But Philadelphia.
I dislike Michigan more than I'm rooting for Nova. Can I put it that way?
No, because it's a Philadelphia-based team, and you will root for anything close to Philadelphia. So, no. And you say Villanova. You say them every single year. Every single year, you are hoping because they're Philadelphia-based. So, stop playing.
They're a rival of Temple, so I don't really...
But, again, I am hearing what you're saying. You go for the closer... to the core, which is Temple. But
we're here.
Because they suck and Temple doesn't ever go that far, they seldom go that far, I should say. Here. You always go.
I like Jay Wright.
Right. You're in this bubble with Jameer Nelson's team right here.
Ah man, I could not stand that team.
Right. You're here with it. But because they're always just like they.
You know who beat them? You know who beat them in the A10 championship?
I don't give a shit. They're this big, right? And when they lose, which they always do, you always go outside that little bubble, but you're still Philadelphia general region, and who's there? Villanova. You always pick them.
John Chaney led Temple.
I don't care. Point being, don't act like you just went out on a limb and just said, I picked Villanova.
Well, I picked them before the tournament because I think they are the best team.
No, it's Philadelphia-based. That's why I picked them.
No, I mean, look, they were the second-rated number overall team. They were the second-rated team in the entire tournament.
That's fine. But you would.
It's not like I went out on a limb going with Nova. They were literally the number one. They were the number 2 overall seed in the entire tournament.
Right there. Right.
That's why, so it's not like I jumped off of some crazy ridge and was like, I'm going Nova here. I'm just like I just went with Nova because they are literally the best team.
And they always are within that general. But point being, they're always there, and you always will go with that.
Last year was the first year I picked them.
Well, Okay. Anything Philadelphia based is what he's going with.
So I know you don't watch golf, so I'll do this pretty fast.
What? Go with what?
I know you don't watch golf, so
What's
I'll do
that?
this pretty fast. I like Tiger Woods a lot. I'm a very big Tiger Woods fan.
Time out. What year is this?
2007.
When you liked him? Okay. What year is it today?
2018.
Tiger Woods was last relevant in what year?
He came in fifth place. I'm sorry.
When did he crash his car?
2011.
So he was relevant, what, 2009?
Yeah, he was the most
What
dominant.
Tiger Woods conversation do we need to have in
in
2018?
Well, this is what I'm trying to break it down so we can halt this right now.
You brought it up. I don't know what we need to halt.
Because I hear it. I'm hearing it everywhere. The Masters are in 2 weeks. He is the odds-on favorite. He is the betting favorite in Vegas. Not because he's the best golfer, because he is relevant. Because his name is Tiger Woods. He's not the betting favorite because he's the best player in the world right now.
He has been the best player in 10 years, and we're still like,
it's
done. It's over.
He played incredibly good 2 weeks ago. I will give it to him. He played incredibly good the week before that. I will give it to him.
I'm golf clapping, and it's appropriate.
He dominates Augusta.
Who cares? It's over. I think we've even had this conversation 2 years ago.
I think he ends up maybe in the top 10 of this tournament. I don't think he wins it. I'm rooting for him.
That's irrelevant too.
I'm rooting for him to win it. I'm rooting for Tiger Woods to win the Masters.
Get over it. And look, frankly, and I root for Tiger Woods. Rooted for. Because at this point, I'm over it. It's done. It's over. It's not happening. It's done. His time is done. He's not coming back. Well, he's still got...
So you don't think he'll ever win one more major?
No. No, it's done. He would have done it by now. It's not happening. Get over it. I'm not saying you. I'm saying just the masses in general. Like, I know he won a couple weeks back, which, cool. Mazel, that's what's up.
He came in fifth. And that's the thing, is that they made it sound like he won, and you don't even watch golf, and that's my point. And that's why I'm trying to slow everyone's breaks down.
Fine.
That's why I wanted to bring this up, to slow everyone's breakdown.
He got in fifth place then. Cool.
So here's how I look at this.
Who cares?
The reason that they are feeling this way
is because we want Michael Jordan. We want Tiger Woods. We want this dominant athlete. And also, unfortunately, America's just
for the first time
and doesn't understand.
For the first time since that thing that you brought up, he's played back-to-back weeks, did not drop out of either tournament, and finished in the top 10 in both of them. He didn't care. It's the first time he didn't look like he had any pain or mentally took himself out of it. I'm not saying, look, the White, I'm not sitting here saying it's the end-all be-all.
Time out. To go back to me saying America's dumb, it's done. It's over with. Well, he doesn't look like he's having any back pain. I've heard that for 10 years. He doesn't look like he has pain. I've heard that. Change up his golf swing. I've heard these little...
But he always looked like he had pain in his head. I've always been out of it since this has happened.
No, stop. No.
Especially compared to the last 2 weeks.
Stop. Because I've heard...
Keep going, yeah.
For 10 years. I've heard on these networks, on these shows, who slurp Tiger Woods, who can't just let it fucking be over with. Oh, did you see him yesterday? Oh man, he looked really good. He ranked the 15th place, but that back looking a little better. You know, if he can keep going.
And then he would drop out on Friday or Saturday.
Then 5 weeks later, you know what? That golf swing's a little off. You know what? He should just change the golf swing. He changed the golf swing and he sucks. Like, this is just a pattern that people can't seem to get out of. It's done. It's over.
I would like to see him win one more major in his life.
Let it go. It's fine. It's okay. He has not been relevant. If you enjoy golf, mazel. Pick somebody else to root for.
I do.
But for everybody else that is like, I would like to see him succeed. It's not happening.
Tiger's still my favorite golfer when he's out there, but I still root for other golfers for sure. I have other favorite golfers without question.
And the point being is, people that continue to be hung up on this man need to just freaking let it go. There's no... What is there to hang up on? Nostalgia. It's Jordan on the Wizards again. Yeah, I want Jordan to be Jordan, but unfortunately he's not really Jordan anymore.
I agree, and I understand
he's good, but
His last 8 rounds have been good. Not great, good.
When Kobe was out there,
great,
Kobe his last couple years, Kobe was going to show himself every now and then, but that's not him.
Not great, good.
Let it go. It's fine. He's done. I'm not saying it's good or it's okay. It's just the fact of the matter is. and I'm exhausted by Tiger Woods. I'm absolutely exhausted with him. Because this, like I said, and I'm gonna keep saying it, this isn't the first time this has had this conversation. It's been, I'm saying 10. It's been 10 years, 4 years, 5 or 6 years, 7 years, whatever it's been, that we've heard this pattern. And it's just like, why? Clearly golf is that desperate, which just says how much people really care about golf if they're just hung up on one guy, mind you, who has been relevant during that whole time frame. That tells me you don't really give a shit about golf. You care about one person. You care about one athlete, which is fine. Then just admit that. You don't give a shit about golf. You want him to be Tiger. Tiger's not Tiger, though. So either let it go or jump on something else and enjoy golf for what it is.
I enjoy golf for what it is.
That's fine.
But
That's
I know
cool.
what you're saying.
It's everybody else, though.
I know what you're saying.
That irritates the shit
I know
out of
what
me.
you're saying.
That irritates me. I'm just saying.
So Dwight, last sport that you don't watch that we're getting into before we get into stuff you watch.
Thank God.
A little more into this one, though.
I doubt it.
No. There's a little more I have to talk about with this one. Opening day. Thursday. I was going to wear Sun Phillies, but I decided to wear a Super Bowl shirt.
Surprised you didn't wear Villanova. Villanova. You know, I used to always do that, but remember Charlie Villanueva?
Yeah.
I used to always mix those up for some reason. I just did. Flashback.
Speaking of the Phillies, they signed Jake Arrieta. I've been back and forth about that whole thing. Talked about that before.
How many games are in the preseason? No baseball.
Oh, in the spring training?
Same difference.
I think like 19, 20.
How many in regular season?
162.
What month is this?
March.
I just need clarity. Okay, go ahead.
Phillies signed Scott Kingsley.
Wonderful.
Really big deal. He's only about 21. Like what they did there. So,
Listening.
I can talk about the Phillies, but I know no one actually cares about the Phillies, so I'll get into it. In the AL...
Baseball people don't care about Phillies right now.
In the AL...
Outside Philadelphia. Let me clarify.
There is no better lineup I have ever seen in my lifetime. It is the modern day Murderers Row. The Yankees are just incredibly good.
Sounds like the Yankees to me.
I don't care if they bat those three guys 1, 2, 3. If they bat them 2, 3, 4. If they bat them.
What's their names? Put some names to it so that it's relative to me.
Giancarlo Stanton.
Okay.
Sanchez.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know Sanchez. And
What's his first name?
Aaron Judge, Gabby.
Okay. Well, now that you say that, yeah. Okay, I'm aware. I got you. Yeah, it's a dangerous lineup. Even I know that. I do like Aaron Judge. I don't follow baseball, but I like Aaron Judge. He's a bad mofo. But I have to root against the Yankees because, you know, I'm petty. Never done that.
There was a lot.
Boston.
There was a lot of. Well, Boston has a really good lineup as well and a good staff. Boston has the highest payroll in the MLB.
Anybody but the Yankees.
The Yankees have a good 1 through 9. Their pitching is
Not good, huh?
they're good, but
Yankees or Red Sox?
I think the Yankees will be the Red Sox this year.
I don't like that news.
I think the Yankees will play the Astros.
And they lose?
I think the Astros will beat the Yankees.
I mean, as long as the Yankees lose. Because, again, Dwight's petty.
A lot of people think the Yankees will win. The Yankees have a crazy lineup. I just think the Astros have really good pitching and really good hitting.
Okay, so let's make it relative. We can make this into a conversation.
Yeah.
Dwight will make this into a baseball conversation.
The Indians are also there, by the way.
Okay, so...
They're good.
Aaron Judge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking
Really
of the
good.
Yankees.
Really
yes,
good.
Yes, I
Struck
agree.
out a lot last year, though.
Does he... Does he turn into Aaron Judge home run derby or post home run derby? Like, which trend happens this year? Do you think?
I think
he goes back to being who he is, which is that bad mother. Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
And that's just from an outsider's perspective. But I'm asking somebody that actually have followed it.
So the reason I would agree with that is because he's going to be protected in that lineup. Even if you put him before, if you put him, you can put. Now I think he'll. Let's say they bat 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm. I think he'll be the fourth hitter, right? I think he'll be in the last. I think he'll be the third bat in those three. Yeah. He'll be protected though, even if he's the first bat. They're not. You can't pitch around any of them. That's going to be the thing. And if you get him last, I think he strikes out the least because. It's like if you put him last and the other two can get on base, he'll strike out the least. So what you would just have to hope is not hope, I guess, but the only problem is if the other two are just hitting home runs left and right. Then you got to figure out a way to get somebody on base in front of him. Because if you can get people on base in front of him, he will strike out less because you can't throw it outside of the zone as much. Because if you're throwing outside of the zone, they'll either steal the base or he'll walk because he has no reason to swing at bad pitches at that point.
So you're saying he's going back to where he was?
I think he's. I mean, you would have to think with that lineup, yeah. And he is 1 through 9. They're just going to have somebody who can get on base. So you would think that, yeah. I mean, you're not going to be able to pitch around him all that much unless he leads off a lot of innings. But again, you just don't put him in one of those obvious leadoff situations, number 1 or 4. So.
Okay. Just curious.
I'm going to make sure that I myself, because we live close to Baltimore, probably go see them play in Baltimore. I want to see this lineup in person. I want to see. I mean, these guys this is history. It's definitely the best group of talent I've ever seen. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. However you want to put, however they hit, where it's going to be the best 3 in a row I've ever seen. So that, and then. I said about the Indians, I think the Indians are going to make a little bit of noise, but I still, like I said, I picked the Astros. But I do think that the Angels, Minnesota, the Twins, in Seattle, but Seattle's a long shot, are going to make noise. I think the Twins, though, are a team to watch. I really like Byron Buxton, their center fielder. And the Angels, I mean, look, if Trout stays healthy, it's crazy to think, and you have to see what Soshi Ohana, the new guy that they brought over from Japan, who is the Babe Ruth of Japan. He can pitch and hit. He's only 23 years old, but to see if they can get something going, not just them two, but the whole team, because they have a decent lineup and an R8 pitching staff, they can make some noise. But I don't think they're as good as the Yankees. I don't think they're as good as the Red Sox. I don't think they're as good as the Indians or the Astros. So I do think that they would still lose to any of them in a series. But the Angels, with Trout alone in 162 games, I think he can propel you to enough wins to get you in contention the way he did last year, and he was out for about a month and a half.
So I'm going to ask this real simple question. I just need the answer. I don't need an explanation. Since we're diving into baseball in January at this point, World Series looks like and who wins?
Well, I was going to...
Simple answer. I don't need an explanation.
I have to go to the NL because I just said the AL.
Pick 2 teams. And who wins?
My AL team was the Astros.
Okay.
I just broke down the AL. The NL...
Oh, this man said a whole nother league to break down. Okay.
I think Washington's obviously going to win the East. You have the Cubs and the Dodgers. Those are the 3 best teams. St. Louis, Minnesota, San Francisco. Minnesota's in the West, or in the AL, I'm sorry. The Mets, Milwaukee. All teams that can make noise. To make it simple for Dwight...
It's January.
I have the Astros beating the Cubs.
Great. Good baseball talk.
Back-to-back World Series champions, the Astros.
Alrighty. Cool.
I really hope it's not the Cubs and Yankees in the World Series.
I didn't think we were going to go that long. This man said a whole nother fucking...
I could literally break down the entire
It is January relative to baseball
St. Louis, man. That team is looking...
December relative to baseball right now.
They are the only threat to the Cubs in the Central.
Tell me again in 5 months, and I'll believe you.
You know anything to talk about with Mania?
You talking about WrestleMania?
Yeah.
I said it as a dick. I have a shit ton to talk about, which I'm assuming the majority of that's going to be next week.
Okay. Then we'll get into it next week. No.
I'm trying to think. Oh, no, because, Dwight just had to listen to like 8 topics that he doesn't give a shit about. I'm just trying to think anything quick that I need to address. Wrestling-wise, yes, I do. At least one. And I'll save the others.
Good, because we have 2 topics that I know you're going to talk about with me, so.
That's fine. Shout out to Daniel Bryan. I don't know if you saw. Yeah, that guy.
He's back.
Yeah.
Is he going to fight at Mania?
Time out. Slow roll. Just listen for 5 seconds. Are you done? Are you done? Okay. Okay. Shout out to Daniel Bryan because he had a fuck of a year 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Not only did he go out, he had to retire because he has issues with his brain. He had like concussion issues and he had issues with his brain. Within like a 4 or 5 month time frame this happened. He lost his job because of that. He had to retire. He got married, which is good. He also lost his father in that little time frame. Like it was bad, like 4 or 5 months. Like it all hit like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it's sad.
Really bad.
So can you wrestle? He was clear to wrestle.
Slay roll. Randomly, someday last week, I think it was last Monday. I know exactly when it was. WWE randomly released a statement saying, yeah, he's actually 100% clear. He's been trying for 2 years to get cleared. He got cleared by other doctors. It was just WWE's doctors. It was like, no, we're not ready to clear you. Like, no, you're not good.
I understand.
But it was like, this man went through doctor.
Yeah.
And he got cleared everywhere he went. It was WWE that was saying no. Randomly, I guess he went through some rigorous testing, and finally they were like, okay, you're good. So shouts to him.
Good for him.
He announced last week that, yes, he's coming back full time.
It's a great story.
Well, we're assuming full time.
Yeah.
Part of his agreement, part of his deal coming back is going to be after every single time he has an altercation, whether it's a match or it's just him getting punched in the face and then that's the end of it, he has to get tested. That's part of the agreement apparently, which I don't fault WWE for because of his quote unquote concussion situation.
That's fine.
Which I think next week I'll dive more into that aspect of it because it's really deep and really suspect on some levels. But bottom line is, he gets to come back. Good for him. He had a rough 2 years, and now he gets to come back and enjoy himself. So shouts to him. As far as Mania is concerned, again, we'll jump into it next week because I don't want to spend 20 minutes talking about wrestling right now. We'll spend well more than that, I'm sure, next week. We got WrestleMania itself. We got a couple of stories. Daniel Bryan, which I want to get deeper with. The Fabulous Moolah situation, which that's a whole nother issue. Ronda Rousey's debut.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wrestling, which we will get into next week. I'm sure it'll be dry other than March Madness. What else is going on right now? Nothing. It's WrestleMania. So we will get into it. I will dive deeper into that. But I do want to shout out Daniel Bryan because good for him. He had a rough,
I agree. Yeah,
he had a rough 2 years.
Awesome.
Extremely rough. And now he's back, so good for him.
So Dwight?
Yeah.
You choose. Next topic, NBA or NFL?
A sport that's relevant. NBA.
Saving the NFL for last.
I'd rather go into something that's relevant because we've been talking about irrelevant. Well, I can't say that. March Madness is relevant. We went relevant, irrelevant. Let's keep the relevant going.
The San Antonio Spurs had a players-only meeting, apparently fueled by Tony Parker, which apparently was fueled by Greg Popovich.
He's still in the league,
according to sources. The players-only meeting was to push Kawhi Leonard to play this season. Okay. He was cleared by Spurs doctors. He himself has not talked to the media or given a reason. Tony Parker publicly once said last week or this week, my injury was 100 times worse and I came back okay. Greg Popovich compared Tony Parker's injury to Kawhi's like 3 months ago. Greg Popovich is, for my money, the greatest coach maybe in American sports history.
Right.
But this has been completely botched in some way, shape, or form, trust-wise, from the organization to Kawhi. Whether that's with Popovich, because of Popovich pushed it over the edge. I don't know. I'm not saying he's part. It is his job, though, to make sure that this doesn't happen, and here we are. So somewhere along the line, whether he had involvement, whether he said something that he shouldn't have said, whether not, at some point this falls on him because He's the coach. He's the guy who makes the decision on the player personnel. He's the one who keeps the team chemistry. And obviously, there's a player who does not trust the Spurs, the San Antonio Spurs. For the first time in my lifetime, by the way, there is a player that does not trust the San Antonio Spurs. And he's probably the biggest superstar they have other than Duncan in my lifetime. I mean, Robinson as well. So, but those three, right? Kawhi, Robinson, and Duncan. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what's going on. Do you have any idea? Do you think it's something to be... I didn't think it was something to really be... Like, I asked you about it a couple of times, just like, you know, in small talk here and there on the show, like, just to see if we could, like, get some kind of subject out of it. But, like, we never really took this as a super serious subject. The players only meeting to push him to play... That threw some red flags up for me. That threw some flags up for me that I don't know if I've ever really... Like, that's... I don't know if I've ever seen that. I've seen players only meeting. I've never seen player only meeting. The entire team, like, you have to...
We wouldn't even know what the hell these player only meetings are about unless somebody says something.
So how attacked must he felt?
I mean, if that really was the case and that really didn't happen, then yeah, he should feel some type of way, of course, naturally. I'm still of the mindset I was several weeks ago, and I'm going to bring up the same point I brought up several weeks ago when we had this conversation. Until this is an Andrew Luck situation where it's so much time.
You're saying if he sits out the rest of the season?
Until it gets where it's like, okay, dude, like it's been, like, come on now, what's going on? We don't understand what's going on.
What's a reasonable time frame for that?
I said next year, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Next year.
I agree with that.
If it's next year, the beginning of next year, if it's preseason, we're still saying we don't know. Then, dude, what's going on?
Okay.
If he's not comfortable, first of all, he's a young guy. Number one. So
he's only 27.
Yeah. So let's relax. Number two, I mean, if he's not ready to go, like only he knows how he feels. I don't need a coach. I don't need the Spurs organization. I don't need the players. I don't need I don't need anybody to tell me how he feels. Only he knows how he feels. And again, I keep bringing up the Andrew Luck thing because unless it's something that goes on for a long period, seemingly a long period of time, and to me, it's not there. That's just my opinion. It's not there. It will be heading to another season, and I'll be like, okay, dude, like, what the hell's going on? But if he's not ready right now, then what are we forcing? Why force it?
Okay, I agree with that. One, and two, look at the on the flip end. My thought with the red flags is look on the flip end of with the Sixers, right? The Markelle Fultz. He was okay to play about a week or two, apparently, before he actually did. But they were afraid there was something going on anxiety-wise, like in his head. But he was super supported by the team. He was super supported by... What if there's something anxiety-wise going on with Kawhi, though? Like...
That's going to bring up a whole nother conversation. Like, no, don't give me anxiety. Give me... He just doesn't feel right, and which I don't tie into anxiety.
But that's fine, either of them. My point being is like
don't give me anxiety.
The reason that
get your ass out.
The reason that they are not playing is because of their own, like they feel inside for whatever reason, their injury in their head for whatever reason.
If you feel off physically, let me just clarify this before we get into this mental breakdown, the psychology of this shit, right? If you feel, and it is a mental game. If you feel physically, I'm not going to be able to do what I want to do or need to do or know that I can do.
And maybe that's what the anxiety was about.
Possibly. But if you... Then cool, I guess. But if you're just hung up on some anxiety, like, I don't know, oh my God, I don't... Like, then that's not okay with me.
I didn't mean, like, anxiety in the sense of, like, he was, like, going home and, like, he couldn't handle, like, his everyday. I meant in the sense of, like you said, anxiety of, like, his... All right, am I ready? I'm not feeling this. There's something still feeling a little off. I'm not really sure if I can get on. Every time I dribble basketball and run out there on the floor, my ankle hurts a little bit, whatever it is.
To me, that's not anxiety. Anxiety then. If you're literally going out there and you just I feel different. I feel a little off. Like I'm not 100% or I'm not whatever percent I want to be. Then cool. As far as anxiety go, I feel like no, that's completely separate. Anxiety is more so I'm just having this mental game. I'm 100% physically, but I'm not 100% mentally. That's completely different. But if you are having this battle where you're like, okay, I'm not 100% physically, then that's fine, and I get that. And only you know that. And I'm cool with that. That's why I'm saying let Kawhi be for the time being.
But my point was the Sixers team and organization were fully behind Fultz this entire way, and clearly it showed on
choice.
that. Right, but what choice do the Spurs have? And they're going the opposite direction. It seems like they're cornering him. It seems like they're pushing him. And I'm not saying they're bullying him, but they're bullying him. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, bro, get on the court. It's time for you to get on the court. Why aren't you on the court? They were trying to get him to get on the court. I'm not saying they're bullying him. Point being is there if. Fultz felt more support from the Sixers than Kawhi is from the Spurs is my bigger point. Correct. And my thing there is that is not normal from the Spurs perspective, and that is worrisome in my eyes.
You know why it's normal? Because you got these old heads on the Spurs that are saying, you know what, I went through this and I came back, and I got this coach who's old and he's saying, yeah, this old head came back. And you got the 76ers being completely supportive. It's generational at this point. At this point, you got an old team that is relying on this young stud, right? The 76ers, that's not even a conversation.
I was just making it as an example.
Listen. You got a whole young squad, though. My point is with the Spurs, they're literally like, dude, young fella, we need you. And if we want to get this one more, because we ain't got that much time left. The coach, the players, that core in general, we don't got that much time. We need this young stud. You're holding us back. You can get us to the finals, and if not win one. That's how they're looking at it.
And while I don't disagree with maybe that's how they're looking at it, it sounds like Kawhi Leonard is not taking it like that at all.
And he shouldn't necessarily feel any type of way. He's still a young guy. He knows he's going to be there for however long he wants to be there. He knows he can get whoever talent he wants to join him there. He's already got LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah.
So
I don't.
He's got another dude to battle with for the next several years. I'm sure it's more so the older guys are just like, come on, man,
I don't know, out there. And I don't know how deep it goes with the whole trust problem that he has with the organization, with Pop, or with any other player. But I know that if I was a Spurs fan, I would at least be cautious going into the offseason and hoping that he's still a Spur at the end of the offseason, and hopefully if he's a Spur at the end of the offseason, like you said, he starts to play in the preseason next year so that you can finally start to see that it's not just he's just sitting out.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know any Spurs
Still not
fans,
something for you to worry about, though?
No. If I'm a Spurs fan, I'm saying, you know what? Yeah, I definitely 1,000% want him out there. I want him to run with this older core and with this coach. I want him to try to get us shit. But no, I'm not. If I'm a Spurs fan overall, I'm saying, you know what? Not only have we had our run, so that's what's up. It's not like we've been floundering. But I got this nucleus right here, and if it's not ready, then I'm not tripping.
And what's even tougher is Houston is really your only competition other than Golden State, which you would have to think you might be able to beat Houston, even though as good as they've been playing. And Golden State with their injuries, you would have to think that you would maybe have a shot against them if you had Kawhi and you were the Spurs. Speaking of Golden State and their injuries, do you think this is going to affect them in any way, shape, or form? I know Steph's going to at least be out through the first round, but it sounds like he'll be back at least midway through the playoffs at this way. Still your finals pick.
What team did you just say?
Golden State.
Who are they again?
The Warriors. They got Kevin Durant. He was out for a couple games. He's about to come back, though. Klay Thompson, he's out for, almost a month, but he'll be back next week. And then Steph Curry, he's out until at least halfway through the playoffs, it sounds like.
Who you taking? Spurs? Oh, Spurs, jeez. Warriors versus Rockets?
If Steph Curry's there?
Yeah.
If he's there?
If he's not there, who are you picking?
Ooh.
Don't play yourself. Knock it off, Mr. Kevin Durant supporter. Knock it off. You're picking the Warriors. That's my point.
Are you picking the Warriors?
Duh.
Do you think James Harden disappears in the playoffs the way everyone else does?
Yeah.
Maybe that's
as bad, not necessarily. He might be better, but
I think this year he won't just disappear. I just don't
by being better.
What
he makes one more basket from his what? What do you make?
I think he only had 10 points last year in that game 5 or whatever it was that they lost.
Right.
Point being is
right.
Okay, so if Curry isn't healthy in the Western Conference Finals and they play each other, I'm still picking the Warriors. I agree with you because I think Durant is the second best player in the world. But
right.
Do you think they still run over anybody in the East?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think they beat the Cavs.
The Cavs are alright.
Cavs are good, but they're not. I still don't think they're as good as the Warriors.
You can't even say that. On paper, they still look good. They haven't been producing per se, but
No, they won like 7 of the last 9 or 8.
they lost a lot.
They lost a lot coming, but they've
Right, they
won
lost, okay,
in March. They've won a lot.
The East is going to be wide open. I'm just saying.
Watch out for them Sixers.
No.
Trust the process. TTP. LaMelo Ball declared for the draft.
European League?
No, for the NBA draft.
He's not getting drafted.
Agreed.
He sucks.
Do you think he's getting signed?
No.
Unrestricted free agent. Undrafted free agent, I mean.
By sign D League? Maybe.
I don't know if
Does he make an NBA roster? No.
Agreed with that. Also, the reason I think it's a good idea for him to go...
He's a bum.
Here's the reason I think it's a good idea for him to declare for the draft the way he did. If he were to... He's only 19 years old. If for to some reason he had some kind of growth spurt and got some development a little better and became... I don't know.
He sucks.
But it's your opportunity, at least. I don't disagree. I don't think he's going to ever amount to anything. I don't think him or his little brother are going to be anything when it comes to basketball at all.
They suck. Both of them suck. At least with Lonzo, it was
I think Lonzo's a player. I think Lonzo's a baller. I think Lonzo can play. I think he's going to be a top 10 point guard.
I just Lonzo is a... At least with Lonzo coming out of college, you can have a but conversation. You can have a
with those two,
he
you're not
sucks,
gonna be able
but
to.
he has this. Or he's good, but he also sucks. Like, you can have that flip-flop conversation. With those two, no, they're both bums coming into the situation. So who the hell is wasting a draft pick outside of a very
I don't think they should.
Outside of a very last pick?
I wouldn't even pick that.
Right. That's not a story.
On to the NFL then?
Mm-hmm.
New York Giants, number 2 overall pick. Claiming they want Sam Darnold,
Who's that?
the quarterback from USC. But so was...
So Eli Manning is retiring?
But the Browns were also claiming they wanted him, and the Browns have the pick ahead of
That
them.
means that guy's going to fail.
So there's that. There's also 4 quarterbacks available.
Yo, for 20 years we've been saying the Browns are looking at this quarterback. Why any year that this is brought up should I believe that anybody that the Browns pick as a quarterback
I wasn't
in
trying to
general,
convince you.
I'm just saying, why should anybody believe that that person is going to be somebody? They should not. So, RP his career. Just saying, I'm so tired of it.
Dwight?
Like, okay, no. I'm so tired of draft. You know why I'm tired of draft? Because it's the same fucking teams all the time. The Browns. It's who the Browns going to pick number 1? Who's the Browns going to pick number 1?
Well, outside of the
number
Browns,
2,
it's
number
not
3.
the same team.
Okay, so who's number 2?
Giants?
Oh, okay. Bum ass team right now. Who's number 3?
Colts?
Well, they've been relevant to that since Peyton Manning left, so
They went to the AFC Championship 3 years ago.
they got a year. Mazel.
They
Giants
were in
went
the
to Super Bowl
playoffs
a couple years ago.
They were
too,
in the
so-
They were in the playoffs for 3 consecutive years.
I forgot he loves Andrew Luck. My bad. It's the same fucking teams all the time, and it's like who they gonna take? It's like who cares? Are they gonna be?
Neither of those 2 have drafted in the top 10
Oh my god.
in the last 7 years.
I don't know. Don't really care.
Who else is it? The Jets, which they're always in it. I'll give you that. The Broncos, they're never in it. The Cardinals, yeah, they're usually in it.
It's the same 5 teams.
It's not though.
It is though.
There's a lot.
You
of
just named
variation.
3 of like 4 that it always is. Yeah.
3 out of 10. I'll give you the Cardinals haven't been relevant since what?
Ever since Super Bowl.
Okay,
The Giants
that's
haven't
fine.
been relevant since. Well, okay, they won a Super Bowl. Twice.
But they haven't drafted in the top 10. They were in the playoffs just last year.
Okay.
They won the NFCs last year.
So the Browns, the Cardinals.
Or no, I'm sorry.
Jaguars somehow luck out for a year. Mazel. Okay, so I'll take number 3 off. Who else is always in that conversation? I'm just trying to think of teams in general. I saw the Chargers.
Oh, but I thought Phillip Rivers was much better than always being a bottom-feeding team.
Phillip Rivers is very good. It has nothing to do with the rest of his team. We've had this conversation many times, so don't act like we don't. Who else? I don't know. I can't think of teams right now because it's not football season. I can't name fucking 10 teams.
Your favorite top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, Odell Beckham, might be up for sale.
Good for him.
Would you trade a number 1 pick for him?
No.
I wouldn't either, not for a wide receiver.
Number 1 overall?
Just number 1 first-round pick.
Yeah, I mean, it depends.
Ready for my reasoning? And I like Odell well more than you do. A lot more than you do.
Why would you not?
Ready?
He's number 1 talent.
You know why? Because with him, they've won 1 NFC East title and been to 2 playoff games.
This is why stats don't mean anything. You don't fucking ignore that type of talent. No. As much as I hate on him.
Look, to me, he's a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, maybe a top 3. He might be literally the most impactful wide receiver in the NFL number-wise.
Okay, you know what?
Hasn't translated to wins. So
you know what counters that?
The Eagles have owned him, and the Eagles sucked for like 3 years defensively before this year.
The Rams pick him up.
Well, last year.
The Patriots pick him up. The Rams pick him up.
Oh, I'm not
somebody
saying
that you expect to be somebody pick him up. Then does that record matter? No. If a team that has a decent situation and a decent quarterback...
Okay, but look at A.J. Green.
It's not a conversation. Yeah?
A.J. Green is a top 5, top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, and he's forgotten about all the time. When we do our list...
up all the time.
But
we always bring him up in top 5 wide receiver.
But how many playoff wins do they have? I mean, wide receiver...
So he's not the quarterback. He's not the defense.
Can you name a wide receiver on the Rams right now?
No.
What's your point? They went to the playoffs this year, and the Giants didn't.
So what? Okay, and my point is, if the Rams get that type of player, does his record with the Giants matter? No, it does not, because you would expect that team to win. You already expect them to win. I don't know why you brought up that record. The record has nothing to do with that. We're talking about talent. We're talking about a football team. This ain't the basketball. We're talking about an overall team. If you put Odell Beckham with a stacked team, a decent quarterback, and a great defense, which the Rams have, and then they got that running game, hypothetically speaking, he goes to the Rams, like, are you kidding me? Nobody gives a shit about his record with the Giants.
I'm not saying he doesn't fall out, but do you already think the Rams are a top 3 team in the NFC?
Yes.
If they get Odell, are they still a top 3 team in the NFC?
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Is my point. You're already he doesn't. If you're
it makes you better.
So
it still makes you better.
Okay. All right. So who's a middle of the pack team then that you would put? The Saints. Does it make the Saints? Does it take the Saints from the 7th best team to the top 3 team?
Yes.
Okay.
Why would it not? Because Drew Brees and him. Yes.
Doesn't change their defense.
They're already decent. They had a decent year. Yeah.
I agree they had a decent year.
I don't. You're trying to defend your point of this record with the Giants. We both agree Eli Manning sucks. Okay, let's just throw that out there.
Eli Manning's career was completely saved because of Odell. We agree with that, yes.
And a fluke catch by.
No, but I meant save the last 3 years.
Yes, right. Okay, so and their defense was absolute trash.
Trash.
So who cares about his record? They never won a playoff. So that's irrelevant. You put him with any other team, that especially the ones that we've been naming, like hell yeah, they get better. That's Chargers. A better team, and they win.
Chargers.
God, I wish Phil Rivers had that weapon.
The Chargers. Yes. He's got Keenan Allen, who's the top.
Okay, so you put him on the opposite side. What is this argument you're having?
Do the Chargers win the AFC West then? Do they?
Everybody gets better with Odell on their team.
Do they win the AFC West then? Do they beat?
Who else is there? The Raiders,
the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Broncos.
Maybe not the Chiefs. Okay, so you're bumped up. Everybody, do you not get better with him on your team?
You get better, but my point is it winning you?
Your point's so irrelevant.
Are you trading a first-round pick for him?
I said yes.
All right, and that's what I'm saying. I just don't, because even though he makes you...
So you don't want him to come to Philadelphia?
They don't need him at the moment. Plus, they're paying too much money.
Right. Yeah,
if they did not have...
Now we're going to get into the money situation. I'm not asking that. Would you want him on Philadelphia? Does that not make them better? Does that not help you
Yes,
win
it
a
makes them
potential
better.
second
Of course
Super
it
Bowl?
makes them better, yeah.
Well, but that's the point. You get better with that. I don't know. You don't give the point. You don't give a damn about what he did with the Giants. Then with his record, it makes you better. That is the point.
Now, would you personally put up with the antics?
No, he's a fuck.
So would you want to trade for him? Not maybe as a Cowboys fan, because obviously the Cowboys and the Giants aren't in play here to trade. But if your team was potentially in play for an Odell Beckham, would you go after him?
If you need a number one receiver, then yes. And outside of me saying no, I can't stand his fuckery.
Would you take him in Dallas right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as much as I quote hate on him, and I do hate on him, and I think he is overrated. But you put him on the opposite side of somebody.
Receiver in the NFL, and I think him.
Well, then his record doesn't mean anything.
I think him, Dak, and Zeke would absolutely be incredible. Also,
Jason Witten with potentially Des Bryant, because he ain't going anywhere, in my opinion.
You don't think so?
No.
I was actually about to ask you that because I know that you're like a super Des supporter, and you're gonna hold on to that.
I'm holding on the fact that the Cowboys want him, and he wants to be a Cowboy, and I think they're going to figure this out.
See, I read he wants to be a Cowboy. I just keep reading that the Cowboys don't want him. Now,
fake news, because Jerry Jones has come out and said many times that we want him.
I wouldn't.
Look, he said. Jerry Jones said. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
I would.
Jerry Jones has said many times we want him to be a Dallas Cowboy.
Well, every time I read that, I don't. Every time I read that they don't that it seems like the Cowboys don't want him. My thought is it doesn't make it just doesn't make sense.
Are these Philly reporters saying this?
No, I saw it on 2 different ESPN things, but both times I read it, I kept saying to myself, it just doesn't. What? So what do they do then? They get rid of Des Bryant, and then literally, what do they do then? Like that doesn't make any sense. You have him under control for at least one more year. It makes no sense to just up and cut him this year.
He's not going anywhere.
Plus, you're not going to have to pay his bonus until what? Like I think it's week 2 anyway. So like, I don't know.
I don't know what it is, and I don't care. He's not going anywhere, as far as I'm concerned. They are. Last I saw, which was several hours ago, so by this point, there might be an answer. It might be a yes or a no. But when I saw several hours ago, I looked it up. They said they were in the process of meeting very soon, like within 24 hours. It might just happen.
Yeah.
It's supposed to happen very soon.
I read by the end of the week, but that would make sense.
We will know by next week what's going to happen.
Isn't the owner meetings right now?
I don't know exactly what the meeting is. I just know he's meeting with the team in general. I don't know who's going to be there or what, but they plan on meeting with him.
No, I'm at the NFL owners meetings, like the annual week owners meetings. I'm pretty sure that's happening right now. A lot of contracts happen usually during that week.
I have no clue. Des Bryant isn't going anywhere.
Back to Odell.
Right. Point being, his record doesn't.
So if you were the Browns now, would you trade your top pick for him? Your number 1 overall pick for him?
Why is this even a conversation?
Your number 1 overall pick for him?
You're the Browns. You don't have a damn reason to not.
All right.
Your ignorant ass team needs to sell jerseys, sell some tickets. Yes.
You would have him, Landry, Gordon. That would be pretty lethal. Pretty good tight end, and then Tyrod Taylor. But you might attract a quarterback.
I don't know why anybody would not give a first round pick. Are you kidding me? I thought when you said number 1, I thought you meant number 1 overall, which that's a different conversation. I don't know, but
well, they have the number 1 overall pick. If you were the Browns, you have the number 1 overall pick. Would you trade for Odell?
If I'm the Browns, then yeah. Again, you're the ignorant ass Browns who every single year
who the Browns will take number 1? Who the Browns will take
quarterback
number 1? Usually.
Who the Browns? Who's got the number 1 pick this year?
Browns.
Who are they gonna pick?
They got
another quarterback. What quarterback they gonna take? We've been hearing this for 15, 20 years.
You know who their best quarterback of the last 5 years was?
Jeff Garcia?
No.
What does that mean?
J Money Manziel. 2 wins on their roster. Yeah. Right. That's where the Browns are at.
Where's Johnny Manziel to say he's going to play for?
Well, he...
Canada.
Is that what it said?
Canada.
I mean, I don't.
I was waiting for him. You had a whole spiel. Well,
I don't think he should play in the NFL.
He said he's going to go to the CFL if he doesn't get signed. It was like,
good. He should not get signed in the NFL.
Nobody cares. He
should not get signed in the NFL
because he sucks.
On top of it, even if he doesn't suck, he's just not as good as Colin Kaepernick. If you're gonna go sign Johnny Manziel, but you will not sign Colin Kaepernick, you are really not dedicated to winning, right? I mean, that would just be kind of how that is exactly going. Yes, you were not dedicated to winning in any way, shape, or form.
I agree.
And this is from somebody who thought that for a while Johnny Manziel might be able to play some football in the NFL. And his numbers supported that he might be able to play some football in the NFL if he wasn't an idiot off the field. But it's too late. He was an idiot off the field, and we're too far removed from all of it. Good luck in Canada, and I hope he stays clean. LA. Brought up the Rams earlier. Marcus Peters. Known since his college days as, well, at least they've talked about him being a troublemaker. Whatnot.
Yep.
Got in a couple scuffles on the field. Talib, we all know his history. Ice up, son. Pulling chains. Getting in fights with everybody. The Patriots did not keep him.
Yep.
Wade Phillips is the defensive coordinator. He was with the Oilers under his dad for a while.
Great.
Had a hard time controlling that locker room. He's a nice guy. Seems like one of them jolly old fellas. He's also 70 plus years old.
What's your point?
Those two guys alone, bringing them in for free agency is a little risky, right? From
Sure.
personalities, strong personalities. And I'm not somebody who's against bringing in strong personalities into your locker room, but I do understand and recognize that it might create a problem.
Right.
But it's flashy, and you're in LA, and you need to bring people to come watch your games because no one's watching your games even when you were good.
Right. That's
So I'm not against you doing that.
Ask the Lakers what they do. You need stars in order to be relevant.
Also,
So I don't fault that.
the formula, which has been proven by the Seahawks and now the Eagles, is load up while you can while your quarterback's on a rookie contract, short-term contracts, and try to get as much as you can with that. Golf's on a rookie contract, so it makes sense. So what do they go do? They signed Ndamukong Suh for 1 year for $14 million, I think it was. So not only did you add those two guys that I just brought up, that Wade Phillips is already going to have to try to navigate, make sure they're not getting in any trouble. But now you got a guy who has notoriously done things that has been dirty. And I'm a fan of watching Suh play. He's a strong guy. He's fun to watch defensively.
Right.
But I recognize he has done some things that are questionable that you're just like, come on, man, what are you doing? Heat of the moment, dumb things.
I'm shrugging because I don't care. Like, you got a bunch of thug dudes out here that
And
are
you
gonna
and
be
I
troubling
don't.
it. You know I don't care because that is a dangerous situation. And they are going to win a lot of football with those dudes.
Look,
So
Aaron Donald as well, who is not
that
a
whole
a
spiel of what you just said.
scary human at all. He's just scary on the field.
It's kind of a conversation, but it's so irrelevant.
And the only
because that is a situation. They were already a situation, and now you add those.
Dwight, I think they could plug you and I in at linebacker, and they're going to be all right with that secondary and that defensive line.
I'll get assists on a tackle.
Yeah, I'm cool. We got this.
I got an assist.
I will be in on every single
So 2
tackle.
assists, and we got 1 for the year.
Because I'm probably getting run over by the offensive line every time. But that's all right because Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh are already behind them. So that's why they got to get me because the other guys that are
And Talib.
already, and Talib's back there.
You got
Picking him off. Peters, who is known as a top 3 corner.
all these dudes are like you and me and a half. Man, like...
I'm an Eagles fan and I'm like, man, Rams looking good.
Rams are looking fantastic.
Rams are looking good.
I'm not one of these people. Every year,
Rams
single
are
year,
looking good.
look here, every single year we have this conversation. Oh, Dwight, who you picking for the Super Bowl? I don't know. I don't care. Dwight, who you picking? Who you got for this player? Who you got for this? Every single year you say this, and I say I don't know. I don't care.
You're picking the Niners this year with Jimmy Garoppolo.
False news, fake news.
Really-
But man,
really
if everybody and their mom don't pick the Rams, I don't know what's wrong.
I think a
with
lot
you.
of people are going to pick the Rams, and I think, yeah, I understand
This
the defense.
is more than a dream team situation.
That defense, which was already a top 5 defense, right? Top 5 defense already, just got nothing but better on the corners and a better defensive line. And somehow, even though when they already had Aaron Donald, now you have the Jaguars, Eagles, and Rams as this 3 dominant defensive line that.
This is more than a dream team.
But they have a
situation.
better secondary than the other two.
This is a team that was already extreme. Well, not extreme good. Very good.
Very good,
It was a very good team. And
Went to
now
the
you just
playoffs, won their division.
You just add loads of talent, and this is going back, piggybacking off of the topic that we just had. Nobody cares. Okay, nobody cares about what the Broncos did last year. Nobody cares about what the Dolphins did last year. You're adding talent that is just going to make this team even better, which goes back to the Odell thing. Again, nobody's going to care what the Giants did. If you add that piece to this another nucleus, it doesn't matter. That looks like a threat.
Odell?
No, that's dumb. Like, why?
Well, I'm just. Do you go in rebuild mode?
No, you build around him.
Okay.
Who else are you paying money to at that point? Nobody.
That's
Eli's going to presumably leave.
But if you could trade him, get rid of Eli.
No, we don't.
You only Eli together?
No, you only trust the process in Philadelphia. Every other team and normal thinking human being on the planet says, no, we need this because that's what sells tickets, that's what sells jerseys, and you can build around that. We don't blow the whole thing up. You keep the talent you got. You keep that one talent, even if it's just one. But point being with the Rams, so you already had the talent.
Yeah.
And now you're adding a bunch of people from teams that sucked.
Yeah.
But they're still talent. They're still very
yourself
good.
a top 5 team now. Top 3
Even
team
if,
now.
okay, let's say.
You're already a top 5 team.
Right. Let's say, I'm just talking out my ass right now. Let's say Talib slowed up. Let's say Seuss slowed up, right? Last year, right?
You still have Peters.
Right.
Aaron Donald.
I'm saying, but even if, let's say these pieces are slowing down.
Yeah.
Let's say, but them coming together, though, makes what?
Oh, they're going to be a lot better.
Piggyback on each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did the Broncos do for those couple years where they were really hot?
Absolutely.
They had a bunch of older dudes, but they were able to fall back on one another. They were still very good and had their moments. And that's exactly what the Rams are fixing to do.
You just control what's in front of you.
Right. And actually, we were talking about it, I think it was last week, when we were talking about Sue. And we were saying, don't know what his numbers look like. I actually looked at him before the show earlier today, and it was a little lower. His tackles overall was 6 years. You know, it's his 6th year low.
Yeah.
You know, his sacks were slightly lower. Like, all his numbers technically were lower, but it was still, like, okay. But he's still a force.
Yeah.
And regardless of what the numbers say, he's a body, and he's a very big body, and he's a grown-ass man. And he's still going to get his. And you add him with all those other pieces, I'm not gonna be one of those. I'm not one of those people that picks Super Bowl favorites.
I think they're gonna be good.
If you're not picking that team to be a Super Bowl favorite, if you're about picking favorites, I can't take you seriously because that team.
I'm gonna just see what they do in the draft.
That defense, for what?
I want to see if they get a wide receiver. They need to go get a wide receiver. That's the only thing on offense that I think they're missing. But they have a good offensive lineman, a good running back, a good quarterback, and they have a great defense. So they have all the pieces you need.
Pick a name out of a hat. I hate to say it. You add an Odell. You add Des Bryant.
Yeah. Pick
a name out of a hat. Like you said, you got a running back. You presumably think you have a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You got a decent offensive line, at least according to last year.
And you have a good defense.
Now you have a phenomenal defense.
Right.
You had a good defense last year.
Right.
Now you feel like, whew, is this a 0-1 Ravens defense? Like,
no.
Is this a Seattle defense from a couple years ago? Like, on paper, this is shaping up to be that. And point to when I was saying this is the dream team situation. The dream team with the Eagles, that was all hype and it looked okay on paper, but you still had some folks that it was like, I don't know about. With this though, you have
that core 4 on that defense.
Man, that's a scary lineup.
Yeah, that's a rough 4 to get around. That's 2 of the best defensive linemen in the league. And
that is.
And one of the best cornerbacks plus one of the better cornerbacks of the last 5 or 10 years.
And I was listening to people talking about, well, are they burying the Eagles? I don't know if I'm biased, but I don't think I'm being biased. I would put them number 2 in that situation. But the Rams, when you add Sue on top of that mix, whew.
Yeah, I think it'll be...
to me, that's number 1.
I think it's going to be a fun matchup to see that offensive line versus that defensive line.
I was just talking just defensive lines. People were saying, well, it's not quite the Eagles' defense. And I was like... Says who? It has to be right there, if not above them.
I think it's right.
Kidding me?
I think it's right there. The thing that I think
above them.
The thing that I think that people would say that they have 2 better overall talents. Like Fletcher Cox is as good as those 2 players, but the Eagles don't have 2 talents like that. They just have Fletcher Cox.
They have that one, and then they got a lot of.
But then they have a lot of really good players behind it. That's the thing is they can rotate. They have 6 guys who can play on any defensive line in the NFL, and that's the conversation.
And the Rams have those 3 guys. Plus
we need to get into
really
the Bennett
good
situation real quick. Speaking of the Eagles' defensive line, did you see Bennett in the Houston Police?
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that.
Here's my question.
I need to see.
Here's my question, and I'm not saying I'm not defending him. Nothing. I'm not. Why was Tom Brady's jersey situation in Houston a bigger problem and solved within 2 months? But this took a year and a half, almost 2 years. It took them a year to get to it, and then another year for them to actually press charges on the guy. When it only took 6 months for them to find a stolen jersey of Tom Brady's from a locker room. I'm not trying to. I'm really confused on how a jersey is more important than an old lady getting pushed over, and why it took a year for this to even get to the where it was, and then a year for it to be investigated. It's just really, really odd to me.
I don't disagree. I actually agree. This is why I'm saying I don't necessarily have anything, because it's still such a weird, stupid situation. I don't know how.
I'm not saying he didn't do it.
I chuckled at it just because I'm a Cowboys fan. I chuckled at it. Then I was like, well, if it was the Cowboys, they were like, well, of course they took a criminal. But, regardless, this is me being petty. But I was just like, why? I'm with you. Why did it take so long? I was like, wait, who did he play for last year? Oh, yeah. And so he was not on this. He was not playing in Super Bowl this year, correct? Right. Okay, so when was this? And why is this just now happening?
It was the Seahawks versus...
Right.
I'm sorry. It wasn't. It was the Patriots versus Atlanta in the Super Bowl.
So what was that, last year?
Yeah, in
That's
Houston.
How much I don't remember.
And
okay, so it was last year.
His brother played for the Patriots, so he wanted to get on the field to see his brother.
Okay.
But again...
So it took a year and for some change for that. He allegedly pushed a paraplegic.
He pushed apparently 3 people, but yes, they're pressing charges on that.
So
but
how many people did he push?
Apparently 3 and then hurt. But here's my bigger thing.
How many people got pushed out when the celebration starts?
Agreed. And here's my also bigger thing.
Did he purposely, egregiously attack this person? We don't know. Are we going to know? Probably not.
I'm not saying he did or didn't, but again, my bigger thing is within 3 months, went after a jersey.
Who knows? Yeah, right. Because he's a black male going after a paraplegic white woman. There's your answer. Okay, my point was, now that we got that out the way, the funny thing is, when this story broke, I saw a comment. And this is why because we already know that's where you were going with it, okay? And you got it out of me. Mazel, you got it. Okay, so now that that's over, I saw when this story broke, and I clicked on whatever link it was, and I saw one of the top comments, and it's fucked up, but whatever, it's JD Sports, I thought it was funny. They were like, well, she's paraplegic. How does she know she was pushed? Like, that's funny. I don't care.
It's mean, but yes.
That's funny. It is mean, but it's funny. Like, what else are you supposed to do in this situation other than laugh? Because it's stupid. Because it is stupid. It is silly. Like you said, and you're going to keep saying it. It's been a year. What about the jersey? Like, I get it, and it's stupid.
No, it just doesn't make sense to me how they...
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make... So, at this point, all you can do is laugh because it's stupid and
I hope he didn't do it. And if he did, shame on him. And hopefully he pays the price for doing whatever it was.
Let's knock it off. This is a guy who says some shit about some cops.
Right.
The cops are pissed off. And now a year later, we're going to say he attacked somebody. And it's like... it's stupid. I'm going to wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens. Let's get some more information first. I'm not a reaction person. I'm a let me get the facts person. And even though he's an ego and I want to laugh at it, which I did, I want to laugh at it even more and see him not play. But
I would assume he's going to miss some games for it.
And as a Cowboys fan, I would like to see that. But as a logically thinking person, no. I'm saying... Let's pump the brakes and let's just see what the hell happens. Because that is ridiculous and stupid to me. Regardless of who the hell he plays for. No, that's not okay.
So Dwight, next week. Big show. Mania preview.
The real show.
Final Four recap.
So when's the finals? Is that Monday?
Yeah. So we'll do the show the day after. Talk about everything.
So after WrestleMania. The day after WrestleMania is the final?
No, the Final Four is literally Easter, the day before Easter. So on Saturday is the Final Four, and then Monday is the championship, and then the next weekend, Sunday is Mania. Yeah. So we have a preview of Mania and a recap of the Final Four.
That's enough right there. That's a whole hour and some change broadcast right there.
Enjoy opening day, everybody. Go Phillies.
Nobody cares about opening day, everybody. Go wrestling fans. Go college basketball fans. Fuck the Phillies.